Time now for Sid 6-0. This is where I got 60 seconds to talk with my mouth. Start the clock, please. Here's what's on my mind this morning. It's about the playoffs for the Leafs. That's it. Nothing else matters. I know this. You know this. But when the season started, 82 games stood between Leafs Nation and the playoffs. So what would get the juices flowing for the fan base? Would this be the most boring Leaf regular season ever? Hardly. And there are basically two people to thank for that. First, Auston Matthews. Here's Auston alongside Rick Vaive. Prior to Saturday's win against Montreal, Matthews broke his Maple Leaf record for goals in a season last Thursday in Dallas. He's currently sitting on 58 with 10 games left. All told, the guy on your left has 51 goals in his last 50 games. Mario Lemieux is the last player to ever do that. Also want to give a shout out to Mitch Marner, who since January 15th has more points in the National Hockey League than anyone else. 69. This regular season has been anything but boring. Thank you to Auston and Mitch for that. But again, the playoffs are pretty important. They're pretty important. Jeff Marek of the Jeff Marek Show on Sportsnet 590, The Fan, and 32 Thoughts, the podcast. Jeff, good morning. Again, I didn't know how we would bridge the gap to from game one to the postseason, but this has been interesting.
You know, the interesting thing about and you're right, Sid, the interesting thing about this Maple Leaf season is it seemed as if what happened last year in the playoffs with the Montreal Canadiens and up to 3-1 and the team froze and panicked and ended up losing in that opening round. It seemed as if going into this season, no matter what the Maple Leafs did, all the joy of success was going to be sucked out of Leafs fans because what about the playoffs? You know, at the beginning of every year, there are just some teams that can't wait to get rid of the regular season, just be done with the regular season and get to the playoffs because all the answers are there. That was what the Maple Leafs were facing. We had no idea there was going to be this record chase by Auston Matthews. Mitch Marner was going to, dare we say, prove that his contract is a bargain, even though there was much ink spilled and much conversation about that deal. You're right. Like these two guys specifically, and listen, I don't want to discount, you're right, I don't want to discount Marner in all this because what he's doing is spectacular. These two guys have made the regular season interesting. And I'll go you one further. They've allowed fans in Toronto to have hockey joy, which we never thought we would see.
Correct.
After what happened last year in the playoffs. If
you're Sheldon Keefe, are you saying to yourself, how are the playoffs still over 20 days away? Like, don't you want to get going now?
Oh, yeah, I think you want to get going back in October. I think that you're like, let's just get through the regular season. And you know what the question becomes, because Sid, you've heard it, right? Oh, yeah, they're doing this now, and the playoffs, they'll all vanish. I'm a firm believer that skill adapts and skill overcomes and skill finds a way. The history of the National Hockey League is that, you know, skilled players, even though they run up against the wall in the playoffs for a couple of years, they find a way to do it. Remember we used to have the conversation about how great Pavel Datsyuk was in the regular season, and then he would vanish in the playoffs, and this guy's no good, and all these things. We heard it about Ovechkin, we heard it about Datsyuk, we heard about so many different players. I just wonder if this is finally the playoff year where Matthews and Marner establish themselves, not as just great regular season players, but as great playoff performers as well.
Jeff, as you leave us here, someone did ask me in the room, and maybe this is a topic for another day, are the Bruins in Tampa scared of Toronto? To which
I don't think Tampa's scared. I don't think Tampa's scared of anybody, but I think if I'm the Boston Bruins, I don't want any part of Toronto.
Ooh, okay.
I really don't. But I think Tampa's its own beast.
Right.
But listen, the last time the Maple Leafs faced off against the Boston Bruins, are they a better team than then? Because Boston isn't.
No, good point.
Boston has been a team steadily on the decline, and Toronto is still on the uptick.
To be continued.
I'll take Toronto in that series if it's Boston. Yeah.
Interesting.
But Tampa, Tampa's a scary beast, man.
Yeah.
I don't want any part
of it. They got a lot of jewelry that says they're in a different league. Jeff,
yes.
Have a good one, man. Appreciate you. Thank you. Great stuff.
Thanks, Sid. You be good.
One and only Jeff Marek. Again, postseason around the corner.